We have another few minutes to spend with the man. This is the I love the description on the website. The martial artist of trend forecasting. This guy doesn't tippy-toe around. He gives it to you with both barrels. Kind of like having a nice friendly conversation with a howitzer. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Trends Journal, Gerald Celente. Welcome back, Gerald. How you doing?
Oh, thanks for having me back.
Hey, have you? When are you going to be moving into that new house you got up there in Westchester? Where is that office space?
It's in Kingston, New York. This is the first capital of New York State, and it's on the most historic corner in the United States. We're moving part of our offices there. And I say the most historic corner because on each corner there's a stone building, pre-Revolutionary War. And I mentioned to you I came back from Berlin, and I was astounded at how these brave, grand people like the Germans could have acquiesced to a two-bit freak like Hitler. And to me, as I saw it, Berlin was grander than Paris was before it was bombed out. Anyway, I came back from Berlin, and there was a sign up for sale on the Franz Roggen, Franzrogggen, Franz Roggen House, 1750. Anybody can look it up. And I said to myself, and I'm Italian, and you want to talk about a two-bit freak? We had Mussolini. Look at the cultures of both countries. Germans, not for nothing, Einstein, Bach, Beethoven, Goethe, Wagner. These are brilliant people, engineering. And the Italians, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Rossini, Puccini, you go down the list, Caruso. And how could people acquiesce to two-bit freaks? And I said to myself, we have them right here in our country. You'll just watch the presidential reality show and take a look at Congress. And I said, I'm not running away from two-bit freaks, because I was thinking of leaving this country because it's turning so fascist and so many of our rights are being taken away from us. And I said, I'm not running, I'm staying. And that house was for sale, this beautiful house that was perfectly restored. And I decided on the spot to buy it. And I said, if the first American Revolution began here, why not start the second American Revolution? But not one of bombs and bullets. Nobody wins in that deal. But rather an intellectual revolution, one of the heart and the mind. And so that's really my major motivation for doing it.
Yeah, I look forward to. I am gonna look it up. Hopefully you'll throw some pictures up on that trendsresearch.com. We can check them out. I expect to see you sitting there on a big swivel chair in front of a large roll top desk.
Yeah.
That would fit you. That would fit you just right in there. Let me ask you the big news over the weekend: Greece and all that entails with the dominoes. I know you've written and spoken a ton about it. I'm sure you weren't surprised by the outcome of the election.
Well, actually, I was. I was
really?
a bit out. Yeah, I would have guessed the other way. I would have guessed they would have gone with the guy that wanted to stay in the Eurozone, but not be subjected to the austerity measures, because we all have to understand what austerity measures mean. That means taking your money and giving it to the banks because they made bad bets. End of story. We could all bypass all the lingo in between. And now the guy who they elected, he's going to say they're going to impose even harsher austerity measures and stay in the Eurozone. So to me, it's once again going back, as I said, voting for two-bit freaks. The people at some level get what they deserve. And to me, the whole thing, as I look around the world, whether it's Greece, whether it's France, whether it's Italy, whether it's the U.S., you name the country, Germany, it's a two-bit freak show.
What do you think the timeline might be? I know that's in the whole forecasting business, but you've addressed it in the past. We've got Greece and now Spain. Spain's making Greece. Spain is taking over Greece's headlines, I guess. Then it'll be Italy, Ireland, Portugal, whatever the combination is. The build out in China, the economy and debt in Japan. Does it matter who comes first or who the last domino is, or just the fact that it's an equation that's going to work itself out?
Well, it is an equation that will work itself out, and yes, it does make a difference. Let's not forget that Greece is only 2% of the GDP in the Eurozone. And Spain, of course, as you mentioned, that's the next big one. And their bailout program last Monday was a flop. They dumped 125 billion euros into, again, bailing out the banks. Brian, who made up this crap that you have to bail out banks? Any of us could go bankrupt. Anybody could lose everything that they have, but you got to save the banks. You got to save the banks. You know who made this up? The bankers. I'm serious.
You're right.
There is absolutely no foundation for this at all. At all. But what they do is they keep propping up these little clowns out there that call themselves economic experts and professors from Princeton and tell you that's the way it's supposed to be. So what we're looking at is that when you read beneath the headlines, and the G20 meeting coming up next week is a big one in Mexico, and you know every day, basically every week you pick up a newspaper and you read that they find all these decapitated bodies around Mexico.
Right.
You know, those G20 guys better be careful, man, because there's a lot of people with guillotines ready to meet them, and they're in the wrong country for that one. Be that as it may, as that's going to be the big meeting, because what they're going to do, the central banks, I believe in the world, the central banks, the money changes. What they're going to do is they're going to keep dumping dough into the system to keep the Ponzi scheme afloat. When will it collapse? I believe it will collapse when an Italy or a Spain collapses. It has to be a big one.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it's going to happen until, when it does happen, what they will do is they will deflect the people's attention away from the economic problems and put more on fear of terrorism, war with Syria. And that's a reality, by the way. I believe there's going to be a conflict with Iran.
Do you think did you catch the latest love note between Putin and Obama today? They were gonna get a political solution in there, a governmental solution rather, and everything is going to work themselves out, and we'll all go to the seashore.
Yeah, right. And
okay.
when you look at the propaganda being pushed out by the United States, Goebbels would have been proud of it. Remember Hillary Clinton out there saying that Russia was selling them helicopters. And then you find out, well, they weren't really selling them helicopters, and there were only 3 of them, and they were from like 1980s that they were refurbishing.
I'm getting back to that G20 thing for a moment. I mean, there's a lot of interesting mistruths, half-truths, and outright lies coming out on that. The idea that they're all going to go down to Mexico and they're going to solve all the problems of Europe. That's highly unlikely, I would suspect.
Well, these are brilliant people. You have to understand that. They could solve everything.
Yeah, well,
that's
right.
And then when they fail, everybody forgets. We're finishing up the Summer Trends Journal. And what we're doing is we're putting in all the statements that these world leaders made about what they were going to do and what was going to happen and how every one of them is wrong in what they said. So all it is one big con game. And I was talking to there's an Indian restaurant over here nearby, and the guy's Bangladeshi. And he said, oh, it's terrible in Bangladesh. He said, all the politicians are corrupt. Everything there is crooked. I said, yeah, that's what politicians are. That's what they do. It's not endemic to your country. It's part of the profession.
Why should you be any different?
It's the second oldest profession.
Well, maybe I was thinking of a couple of things. Maybe you could send a complimentary subscription to Trends Forecast to all the leaders of the so-called free world, and maybe drop off a copy or two right down the street over there at Paul Krugman's office. I think he'd enjoy it.
It's just what's going on again, and the American people are the worst losers. I went to a party the other day. This fellow Chris Whalen, you may know him. He's on CNBC from time to time. Real nice guy, and we drove down, and I took the person who was new in this area. I took her on a scenic route. And going over the parkway that goes from the Bear Mountain Bridge on the Hudson River into Peekskill, and there's a place to view the beautiful, gorgeous river valley. and you can hardly see it with all the junk and all the dirt and all the litter and all the old growth trees, not trees, saplings, just things sprouting out that haven't been cleaned up. And everywhere I looked on the route, all you saw were these beautiful sites where you couldn't see anything. Not a dime for the parks, not a penny for the people. But hey, Brian, we got to get them Al-Qaedas over there in Yemen. We just got our butts kicked in Afghanistan and Iraq. Let's go into Yemen, Sudan, and we're going to go into Somalia and more drones into Pakistan, and let's flood the United States with drones and not a penny for the people. That's what's on my mind right now.
It's interesting that you're up in that neck of the woods, Gerald. Because just a couple of miles when you go across the Bear Mountain Bridge there, instead of taking a right to Peekskill, if you make a left to go up to Cold Spring, you can visit the exact same route that Benedict Arnold took as he made his escape from West Point. Interesting, the land of traders up there, and because that was a gorgeous area, all the way up to West Point and down the other side from Cold Spring down into Peekskill. I'm really sad to hear that.
It broke my heart. It really, I'm telling you, it broke my heart. And there were only like a couple of people there. The place was filthy. You couldn't see anything. And this is what's going on in this country, in every major city. It's in front of everybody's eyes, but instead, let's believe the two-bit freaks. It's a two-bit freak show. We'll call them the Republicans and the Democrats, and where is P.T. Barnum when you need him?
Yeah. Well, that's an excellent point. When is the Summer Journal going to be out, Gerald?
It's going to be out the first week of July. We're wrapping it up now. We're putting all the finishing touches on it. And the last edition was called "Next Train to Auschwitz, All Aboard, Kiss Those Calories Goodbye."
Right.
How slovenly Americans are boarding red, white, and blue freight cars to lead them to their destiny. And the next one's going to be the final solution. And we know what the final solution is. The final solution is with the individual. And it's not going to be until the people find their courage, dignity, and respect and create their own future that things are going to change. Because if they don't change and they don't rise to those levels, they're going to get a final solution they're not going to like. And I can't believe that people still follow their, quote, leaders. These people couldn't lead me across the street. And we have it in this country to be much greater. And the people, I believe, have to rise to that greatness before we change.
Well, I am noting it down, so that means around the second week of July, after everybody's had a chance to get their Trends Journal and digest it, let's get back together here on the radio and chew on all that stuff, okay?
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks so much, Brian. And keep up your great work.
I appreciate that, Gerald, and I look forward to seeing your new building. Sounds like a hell of an edifice up there. Really nice. Really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Gerald Celente, Trends Journal, well done. Trends Journal, well done. Trends Journal.